We have all been waiting 14 years for this movie. And I just wanted to say, when we went to the movies to go watch this the other night, there were no kids there. We weren't even there late at night or anything. It was just full of adults. I don't think there was anybody under 18 when we went to go see it, which goes to show that it's mostly adults that have been looking forward to this. The Parr family continues to use their superhero identities as the Incredibles, and after trying to capture the Underminer, they fail. As a result, the super relocation program is shut down and they are forced to live in a motel. Bob, Helen, and Lucius are approached by Winston and Evelyn Dever, who have a plan to make supers legal again. But a villain named the Screenslaver is trying to stop. Most of the main cast does return to reprise their roles as with the first movie, the only exception being Spencer Fox, who voiced Dash in the original. Now, since then, he has hit puberty, so his voice obviously won't sound the same. And he was replaced by a kid named Huck Milner. Now, I didn't know that until I looked it up, because I honestly could not tell the difference. So, props to that kid. He sounded exactly the same to me. But I did think Craig T. Nelson sounded a bit weird kind of in the first half of the movie. Like, he didn't quite sound the same as he did. I'm not sure if it was just me who thought this, but I honestly thought it was a different actor trying to do the same voice as Craig T. Nelson. But halfway through the movie, he did sound better, so I'm not sure why that was, or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because he's gotten older and he just sounds a bit different, and I just picked that up, or I'm just weird. I also want to mention too that Bud Lucky, who voiced Rick Dicker in the original, who was like the secret agent kind of guy who was relocating all the supers, he passed away, I think it was this year. He retired in 2014 and he passed away this year, and this movie is dedicated to him. And the new actor who voiced him, Jonathan Banks, he did a good job as well, I felt. I didn't notice any difference, but then again, he wasn't a main character. Like the original, this one is directed by Brad Bird, who does a really good job directing again. He's directed a lot of other animated movies that were really good, and some live-action ones. So he is a really good director. He's directed things like the original Incredibles, of course, Iron Giant, Ratatouille, Not You, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And I think it's like the highest rated Mission Impossible movie, so like the original one, this one has a lot of focus on the importance of family. So we get a lot more family dynamics shown and that kind of thing. Like, this time it's Mr. Incredible who's being left at home looking after the kids, and he's struggling with that. And at this time, Elastigirl is out doing the missions. And I saw a lot of people complaining about how this one was going to be focusing more on Elastigirl, which some people were trying to say this was a social justice warrior thing, like what's been happening with Star Wars, but I disagree, because in the first movie, it was Bob, Mr. Incredible, who was going out and doing all the superhero stuff while Helen was at home taking care of the kids. But this time the roles have been reversed, which I liked, because this time it was Bob's turn to stay at home and look after the kids, being a stay-at-home dad, and Helen going out and doing the missions. But which was good, because I enjoyed seeing Bob, Mr. Incredible, trying to look after his kids, and how at first he was struggling with it. Like, he's trying to help Dash with his homework, Violet's having trouble with this boy and he's trying to help her, and just looking after Jack. I like seeing Elastigirl in action, her using her powers in kind of different ways and seeing how she gets around and all that kind of stuff. But there's already this thing on the internet where there's so much fan art of Elastigirl, and after seeing this movie, there's going to be a lot more fan art. Although I did notice that I think there were a lot of kind of like fan service kind of shots. Like, I did notice there were a lot of shots of her butt, which was like kind of an obsession with other people in the first movie, which is just this whole other thing, which is just like, I don't even know why people find that kind of stuff sexy. It's just weird. Give me a minute. Alright. So, The action is very good. We get to see some different heroes with some different powers, and we get to see them in action. There's instances where supers are fighting supers, and it's just good stuff. One of the highlights for me is like when Jack is starting to use his powers more often. Like there's this whole scene where he's fighting a raccoon. He's trying to fend off this raccoon, and he's just using this wide variety of powers that he has against this raccoon, and it was just excellent. It was really well done. The score is very similar to the first one. Again, it's composed by Michael Giacchino. Not saying that right. I tried. It has like this whole, like the original one has this kind of spy thriller, James Bond kind of feel to it. And as I said before, just like the original one, it has the same kind of feel, and which fits perfectly with like this movie, the time frame that it's set, and the way it's filmed and everything. I feel it fits with it perfectly. Gives it its own unique feel. The CGI has the same kind of style as it did back in 2004, but obviously a bit better. It does look really good. There was a couple of they're like at the end of the movie, they're on this ship, and I'm like looking at the water, and I'm just like, damn, that is some good looking water. Don't know why that's a high point for me, but also seeing Frozone's ice, using his ice attacks, like it just looked so real. Like the CGI for his ice, it looked really good to me. It looked so real. But then again, I'm in Australia, so I don't see a lot of snow and ice, so I probably don't know what it looks like. Pacing is fine. For the first 2 acts of the movie, it's paced really well. It didn't really have a dip in it. But in the final act, I kind of felt it dragged just a little bit, because there was no real final battle against the villain. I'll get more to that in spoilers. I won't say too much about it now. And of course, with this being a sequel, we're going to be comparing it to the original. Is it as good as the original? No. Does that make it a bad movie? Absolutely not. But this is a really, really good movie, and I do recommend that if you are a fan of the original, definitely go and watch this one. It's not quite as good as the original, but it comes pretty damn close. And you can't really ask for more from a sequel. In an age now where sequels for movies are coming out year after year or every couple of years in just desperate attempts to get money, this one came out 14 years after the original, and it has been worth the wait. It is a really good movie. You can tell that a lot of effort went into making it. Well, that should, because it's them putting it in the back burner for 14 years. So the pros, great characters and acting. I liked the themes that this movie had. I liked seeing Bob interact with his kids, him trying to get to know them better. I enjoyed seeing Elastigirl in more action. And we get more Elastigirl fan art. And the cons are, the villain is a bit meh. I'll get to that in spoilers, I didn't want to say too much. And the third act kind of drags. So I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. I was really torn between 7 and 8. I wasn't really sure, but I decided that I really did enjoy it, and there were very few things that I didn't like about the movie, so I am giving it an 8. Alright, now we're going to be talking about spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, go and watch it and then come back. So, the villain reveal, you might have noticed I didn't really talk about the villain much in the previous one. It's because I couldn't really, without spoiling it too much. The Underminer isn't the real villain, he just basically gets the plot going, that's all he's really there for. The real villain, the Screenslaver, which doesn't really make sense to me, like, when was this movie set? Like in the 70s? There's no such thing as a screensaver, so where did they get that pun from? And we find out that the villain is Evelyn, supposed to be some big reveal, but it did kind of get me because I thought it was both Evelyn and Winston like working together. I thought Evelyn was the one who was making the technology and Winston was the one actually wearing the mask and talking with the distorted voice and all that. That's what I thought, but I was half right. No, wait, I wasn't half right. No, I was just wrong. The Screenslaver doesn't have any powers, just uses technology to fight against the other supers. That sounds familiar. Her motivation is that her dad died because he relied too much on supers. Like, he wanted supers to come and save him, but instead of going into his safe room, and when someone broke into his house, he got shot and died. So she hates supers for that, and she thinks that people rely on technology too much as well. Yeah, basically she doesn't like supers, and she doesn't like that people rely on technology too much. Which does have some real-world implications, I guess. I just thought it was kind of a weak motivation. And I talked about before how there's no real final battle against the screenslaver. It's just basically they're on a boat, and she's going to make the boat crash into a city, and the supers have to stop them. They do fight the other mind-controlled supers and all that, but they get taken out pretty quickly, and there's no real final confrontation against her. Like, she tries to fly away, and Elastigirl just, like, punches her, I think, and then she gets flung out of a window, and then that's basically it. There's no real final climax to it. And also, they never catch the Underminer. He gets away. I guess we'll see him in the next movie in 14 years' time. And you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time.